Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.
Yup. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another phenomenal episode of My Mama Told Me, a motherfucking mini episode. That's right, bitches. I'm back up in this thing. This is the podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories, and we finally work to prove the theories that you, the listeners, have at home. You goddamn right it's a mini episode. You goddamn right I'm making my triumphant return. You goddamn right my voice sounds weird because it's going out and I'm not exactly sure why. But that doesn't fucking matter, you idiots. We're back, baby, and I couldn't be more excited to be back here with you to talk some shit about some conspiracy theories, the ones that you send me. This is very exciting stuff. Please do not let my voice sounding like that nigga from Run DMC throw you off in the least bit, because I am fucking excited. And I gotta tell you folks, I don't know when I started calling you folks, but I gotta tell you folks, I got a fantastic conspiracy sent to me today. Or it wasn't today, it was days ago. But a conspiracy theory that I want to talk to you about nonetheless. It's very exciting. This conspiracy theory actually comes to me from a person named Javon. Javon sent me an email, and Javon sent me from an email from a Yahoo account. So you know this motherfucker believes in some bullshit. Anybody that's trying to communicate to you through Yahoo is on something wild. But Javon said, "Hi, my name's Javon. I have a theory that we've been tricked into believing that we're eating beef and chicken, but in fact, it's people. There's 7 billion people accounted for in the world. I'll come back to this. Many animals on the planet that we don't even eat," he capitalized that part, "are going extinct. There's only 1,000 tigers, hardly any rhinos, etc., etc. My question to you is, where are we getting all these cows and chickens to feed billions of people daily? There's 2K Popeyes restaurants in America alone. Think of all the other restaurants, grocery stores, cafeterias, and more that serve and sell beef and chicken food options daily. Now, going back to that 7 billion, that's people accounted for globally. So I feel like all of those human trafficking rings and whatnot people believe to exist to buy and sell people into sex cults and whatnot. No one's that horny," Javon says. "Those unaccounted for people are being ground up and molded to feed the world, like on the Matrix, when the robots had the people in the pods. When someone would die, it would just be ground up and fed to another living, quote-unquote, pod person. Metaverse, question mark? So that's my theory. We haven't been eating animals for some time. LOL. Javon did not sign off. He just walked away real manic as one who has a Yahoo does. But thank you, Javon, for sending me this very insane conspiracy theory. What a fantastic way for me to return to this super toxic podcast. What better way than to do it by talking about fucking cannibalism, you know? I can't think of a better way. There's no better way. But to your question, Javon, of whether or not we are eating people, it's hard to know, right? Because despite what our dignified white history books might have you believe, there's actually a fair amount of evidence that people have eaten other people since the dawn of time, since the dawn of man. You know, paleontologists have uncovered mashed and ground up bones from old Neanderthal days that suggest that cavemen were eating each other back then. Yeah, the big old caveman motherfuckers used to smash each other over the head and take a bite out of each other's very, very hairy expenditures. They did whatever they wanted to each other, I guess. Rape, pillage, and of course, nibble. Fossil evidence from Gloucestershire tells us that the British actually were eating each other 2,000 years ago. You know, they were chowing down on their own friends' quote-unquote blood pudding, you know? Even today, there have been cases of folks taking bath salts and eating strangers' faces. And also, am I the only person, while we're on the subject, Am I the only person who didn't realize that bath salts did not refer to actual bath salts? Do you know what I mean? Like this whole time, I thought motherfuckers were just getting high on lavender scented rocks and then acting a fool. But apparently it's street code for a type of meth, not the shit that you get at Bath and Body Works. So that's on me. That's my bad. I thought motherfuckers were smoking actual bath salts, but they're just being hip in their reference to street meth, or as I like to call it, I don't know. I don't have a different name for it. I was really reaching, frankly. I set myself up for a joke that I couldn't finish, and I'm embarrassed. I'll be honest with you. I'm terribly embarrassed. I might go smoke some bath salts to make this shame go away. More to the point, some of the most famous cases of cannibalism come from moments where humans were pushed to their limits and forced to eat each other for survival. The most famous case comes actually from the Pilgrims in Jamestown. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar, but the Pilgrims in Jamestown, they found themselves in a bit of a famine, you know? I believe the starvation period or something like that is what it was called, from like 1609 to 1610, where they had an entire year where famine hit their population and shrank the population by 80%. 80% of these motherfuckers died, so much so that they took to digging up other corpses. That's right. They were digging up dead bodies to eat these motherfuckers. So as I was saying, there's actually documentation. There's documentation of one of the survivors from Jamestown, this dude, George Percy. Very old-timey name, George Percy. This motherfucker definitely was born in 1600 and something, but George Percy actually wrote all the way back then. He said, "A world of miseries," and you have to understand this is written in an older English than I read or write, so if there's any fumbles, it is not my poor reading, which, as you know, if you're a constant listener to this show, I am a bad reader, but this one's actually not as much on me. Now, what if I read this better than I usually read? Does that tell you something? Maybe I'm an old English motherfucker, and this whole time I've just been in the wrong century. Huh? Did you ever think about that, you stupid bitch? I bet you didn't. Anyway, George Percy, my boy George, said, "A world of miseries ensued as a sequel will express unto Yao, in so much that some of these satisfy their hunger, have robbed the store for which I caused them to be executed. Then having fed upon our horses and other beasts as long as they lasted, we were glad to make shift with vermin as dogs, cats, rats, and mice. All was fish that came to net to satisfy cruel hunger. As to eat boots, shoes, or even other leather some could come by, and those being spent and devoured, some were enforced to search the woods and feed upon serpents and snakes, and to dig the earth for wild and unknown roots, where many our men were cut of and slain by the salvages. And now famine beginning to look ghastly and pale in every face, that nothing was spared to maintain life and to do those things which seem incredible, as to dig up dead corpses out of graves and to eat them. And some have licked upon the blood which hath fallen from their weak fellows." Basically, your boy George Percy is saying shit got so bad that they started eating dogs and cats and rats and then snakes and then shit that they dug up from the ground. And once they started digging, honey, they kept on digging and they found some of their friends' bodies and they ate those too. And then when those people, I think the implication is when those people started to get sick from eating dead corpses, because you can't just dig up dead bodies and just eat them. You got to wash them motherfuckers at least. But when they didn't wash them and didn't take care of them, they started to drink the blood and eat of each other, those of them that were dying on the spot. Truly horrific shit coming out of Jamestown. But of course, the Native Americans were the savages. That's neither here nor there. This is also not the first time that claims like this have been popularized, right? This claim of people eating people in a more contemporary society. A few years ago, in fact, an article went viral which claimed that nearly 90% of the meat tested at McDonald's contains human flesh, and nearly 65% of that meat contained horse flesh. Now, I don't know why we would be mixing up both human and horse, but that's what the article said. That's what they were trying to say. Now, the reports were unverified, and eventually, a lot of people said it was completely false. However, the news became so popular, this article became so infamous, that McDonald's, even to this day, still has a response refuting this claim on their public website. If you go on the McDonald's website and there's the question and answer section, there's a brave person who says, "Why y'all be feeding us human flesh?" And McDonald's says, "Shut up. We don't do that. Shut up. We're good people. We only have good halal beef at McDonald's." And I'll be honest, I don't think they're selling us human flesh, but if you want me to be convinced that this is good beef, McDonald's, you are mistaken. I'm no fool, and I love McDonald's. I'm a big fan, but get the fuck out of here if you think that that's been prayed over in any kind of way. Now, as far as the question of why cows and chickens have not yet suffered the same threat of extinction as these other animals, it seems to be largely based around which animals we care most about not going extinct. Cows do not go extinct because they are an exclusively domesticated species at this point. Other iterations of wild cows have actually completely gone extinct. They've completely disappeared off of the planet, and now the only cows that are left are the ones that farmers are constantly breeding and protecting for their milk and their meat. Basically, we fuck the cows, we fuck with the cows and the chickens. I don't think we fuck them, but maybe we're doing that too. But we fuck with cows and chickens so that they do not face the same threats as tigers, which we would happily kill without blinking an eye, because apparently tiger meat just ain't that yummy, Harder to breed and not as delicious, is what it all breaks down to. Also, if you've watched Tiger King, you know that the vast majority of the surviving tigers on this planet actually live in captivity now, not in the wild. So much in the way of the cows and the chickens, the only safety we can offer them is imprisonment, because if they're out in the wild, people are going to intentionally kill them. So long story short, I don't know that there's a ton of evidence that we're actually eating human beings. However, what I will say is, if I was a major world power, and I was sort of finding myself in the challenging situations that are now facing world powers of the pending famine and the global destruction that's coming in every direction, I wouldn't be that forward with the fact that I was feeding my population human flesh. So, maybe they're just telling us that because they don't want us to know the real truth. You know what I mean, Javon? Maybe you're onto something. Moreover, given the insane chemicals and frankly poisons we often find in our food, we should be so lucky as to be eating human flesh. You know what I mean? I would much rather be eating human flesh instead of whatever the fuck is in Cheeto dust. There's no way that shit is good for us. And at the end of the day, we're truly on the brink of world destruction. And at some point, I think that some of these questions of what we eat are going to shift. You read articles about our relationship to bugs and whether or not it's going to become popular that we eat bugs and insects in the coming years. And it's probably going to be the case. Right now, bugs are disgusting to us, and we're very outspoken about, ew, yucky, I would never put my mouth on a cockroach. But goddamn, a few years from now, after Russia goes crazy and fucks everything up, maybe we'll find ourselves nibbling on a big old water bug and being like, God damn, this is a delicious water bug, but thank God we don't eat people. Anyway, if you want to send me your conspiracy theories about other things we're biting into, I don't know. I'm reaching at this point. But if you want to send me your conspiracy theories, I would love to hear from you. Please send them to mymommapod@gmail.com. I promise by the next time I record, my voice will not sound quite as shitty as it does right now. And I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to see your reviews. I'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast. I'd make sweet love to you if you did that. And if you're around this Thursday, actually today, March 10th, It's the release of my brand new show, Bust Now, which is available on Peacock, and I would love for you to watch it. It's a really funny show starring me, Jack Knight, Sam J, and Chris Red, three of my dearest friends in comedy, and it's truly a spectacular mess. If you enjoy the chaos of this show, I promise you Bust Down is 10 times more chaotic and half as funny. Right? Nothing's funnier than this podcast, you stupid idiots. Don't you dare presume anything is. Okay, I did enough talking. Bye, bitch.
Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode. Mini episode. Motherfucking mini episode.